Lose elusive,
It will be a price paid in blood.
never truly within reach.
Will you help me get to her?
I'm not sure what comes next.
I'll love her to my dying breath.
The Outlander Season 8 Episode 5 trailer has finally given us a first look. And if you thought things were intense before, this episode is about to take everything to a completely different level. War is no longer just a possibility, it's here. And the most shocking part is not just the battlefield, but the emotional battles that are about to tear these characters apart from the inside. Jamie is standing on the edge of something dangerous, Claire is hiding a power that could change everything, and Brianna and Roger might not survive being on opposite sides. So let's break down everything we saw in the trailer and what it really means for Episode 5. First of all, we need to talk about the overall tone of this trailer because from the very first second, you can feel that something is not right. There is this heavy, tense atmosphere that keeps building with every single shot. Unlike the previous episodes where there was still a balance between calm and chaos, this time it feels like that balance is completely gone. The war has officially begun, and the characters are no longer preparing for it. They are already in the middle of it. What really caught my attention is how the trailer focuses so much on fear and uncertainty. You can clearly see that no one feels safe anymore, and that alone tells us that Episode 5 is going to be one of the most dangerous chapters of this season. Now let's get into Jamie's situation because this is where things start to get really serious. In the trailer, Jamie doesn't look like the confident leader we are used to seeing. Instead, there is a visible tension in his expressions, almost like he knows something bad is about to happen but cannot stop it. This connects directly to what we talked about before, the possibility of betrayal. Mr. Cunningham is no longer hiding his intentions, and it feels like he is ready to make his move at any moment. The way the trailer builds this tension around Jamie makes me think that Episode 5 might finally show us a direct confrontation. And if that happens, it's not going to be a simple fight. This could be the moment where everything changes for Jamie. At the same time, we cannot ignore Claire's role in all of this. The trailer gives us very subtle hints, but they are extremely important. Claire looks more focused than ever, almost like she is preparing herself for something she knows is coming. And this brings us back to the mysterious ability she discovered. I still don't think that storyline was introduced without a reason. If anything, Episode 5 feels like the perfect moment for that power to become important again. Because let's be honest, with the level of danger we are seeing in this trailer, someone is going to get hurt. The real question is, who will it be? Another detail that really stood out to me is how the trailer is setting up multiple conflicts at the same time. It's not just about one storyline anymore. Everything is happening all at once, and that makes the situation even more unpredictable. We have Jamie facing external threats, Claire dealing with something deeper and more mysterious, and on top of that, the war itself is creating chaos everywhere. This kind of storytelling usually means one thing: we are heading towards a major turning point. Episode 5 doesn't feel like a regular episode. It feels like the beginning of something much bigger. And honestly, the most exciting part is that the trailer doesn't give away too much. It shows just enough to build tension, but it keeps the biggest moments hidden. That's exactly why I think Episode 5 is going to surprise us in ways we are not expecting. Because when a trailer focuses this much on atmosphere instead of clear answers, it usually means the real story is even more intense than what we are seeing. So, based on everything we've seen so far, one thing is very clear. Episode 5 is not going to hold back. The stakes are higher, the danger is real, and for the first time this season, it truly feels like no one is safe anymore. Now let's talk about Brianna and Roger because this is where things start to get even more complicated and emotional. The trailer makes it very clear that these two are no longer on the same path. And this is not just a small disagreement. This is a situation where they are being pulled into completely different sides of the same war. And honestly, this is one of the most dangerous dynamics we've seen in a long time. Because when two people who love each other are forced into opposing positions, the outcome is never simple. From what we saw, Roger seems to be fully involved with the American side now. There is a sense of duty in his actions, almost like he has no choice but to follow through with what he started. And if you remember, this is exactly what he needed in order to gain trust and eventually secure weapon support. But the problem is, that decision is now putting him directly in conflict with everything else around him. Because on the other side, we have Brianna, who is still connected to Lord John Grey and the British forces. This means that for the first time they are not just emotionally distant, they are physically and politically divided. What makes this even more intense is the fact that the trailer hints at moments where both of them are in danger at the same time. It creates this feeling that something could go wrong for either one of them at any moment. And the worst part is they might not even be there to help each other. That's what makes this storyline so powerful. It's not just about war, it's about separation, trust, and survival. At the same time, I don't think the show is going to break them apart completely. If anything, this kind of setup usually leads to a dramatic reunion. But before that happens, they are going to go through a lot. I think episode 5 will focus heavily on testing their relationship. We might see moments where they question their decisions, or even doubt whether they made the right choices. And that kind of emotional conflict can be just as intense as any battle scene. Another thing that really stood out to me is how the trailer uses their storyline to show the larger impact of the war. It's not just about armies and strategies. It's about people being forced into situations they never wanted to be in. Roger didn't plan to become part of this war, and Brianna certainly didn't plan to end up on the opposite side. But now they are both stuck in roles they cannot easily escape from. And this is where things could take a very unexpected turn. Because when characters are pushed this far, they sometimes make decisions that change everything. I wouldn't be surprised if one of them takes a risk in episode 5, something that goes against orders or puts them in even greater danger, just to protect the other. That kind of moment would not only be emotional, but it would also raise the stakes even higher. Also, we cannot ignore the possibility of a direct encounter between them during the siege. The trailer doesn't show it clearly, but the way it is edited makes it feel like their paths are getting closer and closer. And if that happens, it's going to be one of the most intense moments of the episode. Because imagine seeing each other in the middle of a battlefield, knowing that you are technically on opposite sides. That kind of scene would completely change the tone of their relationship moving forward. So overall, Brianna and Roger's storyline in episode 5 is not just about survival, it's about choices. Every decision they make from this point on is going to matter. And with the war escalating so quickly, they might not have the luxury of time to think things through. Which means whatever happens next could change everything for them. Now let's shift to Jamie's situation again, because the trailer makes it very clear that he is standing right at the center of the coming storm. And this time it doesn't feel like he has full control anymore. There is a growing sense that things are slipping out of his hands, and the enemies around him are becoming more bold, more direct, and more dangerous. Especially Mr. Cunningham, who now feels like he is no longer playing games. The trailer hints that his next move is not just political, it is personal. And that alone makes everything far more dangerous for Jamie than before. What's really interesting is how Jamie is shown reacting in the trailer. He is not panicking, but he is definitely not calm either. It feels like he is constantly calculating, trying to stay one step ahead, but the problem is the situation is changing too fast. And when a leader starts losing control of the situation around him, that's when mistakes happen. This is why episode 5 feels like such a turning point for his character. Because for the first time, Jamie is not just facing a known enemy. He is dealing with unpredictability on every side. At the same time, there is a strong feeling that betrayal is getting closer. The Cunningham storyline is clearly building towards something bigger, and the trailer suggests that the trust between characters is going to be tested in a very serious way. When Mrs. Cunningham speaks with such strong words, it almost feels like the situation is beyond repair. This is no longer just conflict between families or groups. It is turning into something much darker, where revenge and survival are starting to take over logic. And this is where things get even more dangerous for Jamie, because if someone close to him ends up turning against him even slightly, it could completely change the outcome of everything. The trailer does not confirm anything directly, but it creates this constant feeling that Jamie is surrounded, not just physically but emotionally and politically as well. He is standing in a position where one wrong move could lead to disaster. Another important detail is how the trailer keeps cutting between Jamie's storyline and other conflicts happening at the same time. This is not random. It is clearly showing us that everything is connected. The war is not just one battlefield anymore. It is spreading into every relationship, every alliance, and every decision. And Jamie is right in the middle of all of it. What makes this even more intense is the possibility that Jamie might finally be forced into making a decision he has been avoiding. Throughout the season, we have seen him try to hold things together, trying to protect people while also preparing for war. But episode 5 might be the moment where he has to choose one path over another. And no matter what he chooses, it will come with consequences. There is also a subtle but very important feeling in the trailer that Jamie is carrying a lot more emotional weight than he is showing. It's like he knows that something big is coming, but he is trying not to let others see it. That kind of pressure usually doesn't stay hidden for long. Eventually, it breaks through, and when it does, it changes everything. So at this point, Jamie's story in episode 5 is not just about war strategy or enemies on the field. It is about endurance. It is about how long one person can hold everything together when every direction around him is falling apart. And based on what the trailer is showing us, that limit might be closer than ever. Now let's talk about Claire. Because even though the trailer doesn't always focus on her directly, her presence in episode 5 feels more important than ever. And the reason is simple. Whenever chaos reaches this level in Outlander, Claire is never just a witness. She becomes a key part of how things either fall apart completely or somehow survive. But this time there is something different in the way she is being shown. It feels like she is holding back something, like she is aware of a danger that others still don't fully understand. The trailer gives us these subtle but powerful hints that Claire's mysterious abilities are not just a background detail anymore. They are starting to feel like they are building toward a major moment. And episode 5 might be the episode where this finally comes into play in a serious way. Because when war reaches this level of intensity, survival is no longer just about strategy or strength. It becomes about impossible choices. And Claire is often the only one who can step into that space between life and death. What makes this even more interesting is the emotional weight behind it. Claire is not someone who uses her knowledge lightly. Every time she has to step into something unusual or dangerous, there is always a cost. And the trailer makes it feel like that cost is getting closer again. There is a strong sense that someone important may be at risk, and Claire might be forced into a situation where she has to decide how far she is willing to go this time. That kind of pressure is what makes her storyline so unpredictable at the same time. The trailer also connects Claire's journey to Jamie's situation in a very subtle way. Even when they are not shown together, there is this constant emotional link between them. It feels like whatever happens to Jamie in episode 5 will directly affect Claire's decisions. And that connection is what raises the stakes even higher. Because it is no longer just about surviving a war. Another key detail is how the trailer builds tension around uncertainty, rather than clear events. We don't get a full picture of what Claire will face, but we get enough to understand that something significant is coming. This kind of storytelling usually means the real impact will hit unexpectedly in the episode itself. And that unpredictability is exactly what makes episode 5 feel so dangerous. Meanwhile, the world around her continues to fall deeper into conflict. The war is not slowing down, and every storyline we see is becoming more unstable. That means Claire's role is not just emotional anymore. It is potentially critical. If someone is injured or something goes wrong, she may be the only one standing between life and death. And that responsibility is heavier than anything else she has carried so far. There is also a growing sense that Claire is beginning to understand that this war is changing everything permanently. It's not just another conflict that will pass and be forgotten. It is shaping the future of every character involved. And when someone like Claire realizes that level of truth, it usually signals that she is preparing for the worst possible outcome, just in case it arrives. So overall, Claire's presence in episode 5 feels quiet on the surface, but extremely powerful underneath. She is not at the center of the battlefield, but she may become the center of survival itself. And in a world where everything is breaking apart, that role might be the most important one of all.